Good morning, Bimblers. You join me here at Lytham for episode 2 of National Cycle Route 62. I was supposed to do this last week when the weather was perfect, but it was rail replacement buses all the way from Warrington to Preston, and unless you've got a fold-up bike you can't get on a rail replacement bus. So today, what we're going to try and do is get from here in Lytham to somewhere called Sollom, which is close to Croston Station, just underneath Preston. So let's stop messing about. Let's bimble.
Things to show me, but life just keeps turning back to the way things were before. Oh, knew this time you would still see all that became attached from the way things were before. It just proves to me how it's meant to feel. We have motive, we have the time. We were meant to lead extraordinary lives. It changed with time. You still know me. We just keep facing back to the way things were before. It should plainly show what we're meant to know. We have a motive, we have the time. We were meant to lead extraordinary lives. Edged over lines, days keep moving, but time just keeps falling back to the way things were before. It just proves to me how it's meant.
Bimblers, we finally made it to Kirkham. But before I tell you about Kirkham, I'm going to give Sus Trans a ticking off. Sus Trans are the people who run the national cycle routes. And you really need to put up some signs between Lytham and Kirkham. I've got a feeling I'm going to be saying this a lot, but there aren't enough signs on National Cycle Route 62. The signs going between Lytham and here in Kirkham are few and far between. You know, you could just put some of those little stickers on the lampposts like you do, with an arrow, just an arrow. The few signs that I did see, one of them was pointing in the wrong direction. I could have been going all the way back to Lytham right now, not knowing where I was going. Right, I've said it, we'll move on. I'm still your friend, Sus Trans. I still love your national cycle routes. But you need to put some of them stickers up. Agreed? We can be friends, me and you. Right, so I'm in Kirkham, and I'm sat on the steps of St Michael's Church. And the name Kirkham comes from a Danish word, kirk, meaning church, and the Anglo-Saxon bit, ham, meaning hamlet, village or settlement. And Kirkham is actually the earliest inhabited settlement in the whole of the Fylde region. And there's evidence of people living here going back to 8,000 years BC. But the population really increased when the Romans built a road and a fort round here. they built the road going to Ribchester, which is effectively a road going between Blackburn and Fleetwood, which sounds like an interesting bimble. It's unfortunate that the Victorians that lived in Kirkham decided to sweep all that aside and have all new stuff. There are supposed to be some fish stones in the square that date back to the medieval times. They moved the medieval fish stones and put new ones there. Many little curious features you see usually come from Queen Victoria's Jubilee or Queen Elizabeth's Jubilee, our current Queen. One of the oldest things in Kirkham is a stone tomb that's in this graveyard, and apparently it's filled with flowers and used as a flower bed. St Michael's Church behind me was built in 1822, but the original church that was here before the Victorians built this one dated back to 684 AD. But the Victorians came and went, no, we're having a new one. But this isn't the only church we're looking at today. So signs permitting, sus trans, signs permitting, let's go down National Cycle Route 62 and find some more churches. Let's bimble. Hopefully the right way. You have to admit, the last episode of National Cycle Route 62 was very light on canals. We're a very canal-heavy channel. So I have to put that right today. We're at something called the Ribble Link, or to give it its official name, the Millennium Ribble Link. Everything was called the Millennium at the time of the Millennium, just like everything was called Victoria when Victoria was the Queen. The Ribble Link is attached to the Lancaster Canal, and we've talked about the Lancaster Canal before. It was supposed to link on to the Leeds-Liverpool Canal and join Leeds and Liverpool, as well as Wigan and all the places along that canal, up to Kendal via Lancaster. They got the section between Preston and Kendal finished, and they built a really brilliant aqueduct over the River Loon that we visited in a previous bimble. but it cost too much money. And the aqueduct that they had planned to go over the River Ribble here in Preston, they didn't have enough money to complete it. And we spoke about that in another Bimble when we went to Preston Docks. The original aqueduct was supposed to be where a tram bridge is now. So the Lancaster Canal never joined onto the network. And that was a little bit irrelevant when the canals stopped being as popular. And the railways took over from the canals, and the motorways took over from the railways. And canals basically became a leisure activity. People would go up and down them on their narrowboats. Some people would live on them. Some people would just go on holidays on them. But the fact that the Lancaster Canal isn't attached to the network is a little bit of a problem for those people on the holidays, or those people who tour around the canals all year. It means that if their boat is on the Lancaster Canal, they can only go up and down the Lancaster Canal. That's all they can do. But that all got sorted out in 2002 when they designed this, the Ribble Link. This lock that we're at now lowers you down into something called the Savick Brook. And in 2002 they canalised that brook. They made it deeper so that the narrowboats could get down there. And the narrowboats could get all the way down to the River Ribble. And then you can have a terrifying journey down the River Ribble. And that would take you down the River Douglas for a short spell until you got onto the Rufford branch of the Leeds-Liverpool Canal. And that would link you onto the network. And obviously that works in the opposite direction. So as of 2002, the Lancaster Canal is part of the network. I've watched quite a few videos of people doing the Ribble Link, and it looks terrifying. It's all a race with the tide, and you have to take a little canal boat all the way down the River Ribble. And if you miss the turning, you end up at Preston Docks, and apparently it's very expensive to moor up there. If you're interested in watching it being done, you should go and watch the videos of foxes afloat. I'm not sure they're afloat anymore, but they did have a fabulous video of going down the Ribble Link, and they tell you everything you need to know and everything they had to do it. It's all very fascinating. Canals.
To the way things were before. It should plainly show what we're meant to know. We have a motive, we have the time. We were meant to lead extraordinary lives, edged over lines. Days keep moving, but time just keeps falling back to the way things were before. It just proves to me how it's meant to feel. We have a motive, we have the time. We were meant to lead extraordinary lives. It just proves to me how it's meant to feel. We have a motive, we have the time. We were meant to lead extraordinary lives.
Behind me is St Walburg's Church. I told you we were going to go to another church. And this is a Bobby Dazzler. It has the UK's third tallest spire. It's an odd one because it has a limestone spire and a sandstone the rest of it. And they've got a big dog. And he doesn't like me. They're doing some building work to it at the moment, so I can't actually get in the grounds. So I'm stood by the road. It's terribly embarrassing and a little bit noisy. The church was completed in 1873 and it can seat 1,000 people in there. I bet they wish 1,000 people were coming on Sunday. And it was designed by a Joseph Hansom, which is a rather fabulous name. Joseph Hansom also designed Plymouth Cathedral and Birmingham's Town Hall, but that's not what he was famous for. Joseph Hansom designed the Hansom Cab, which was a horse-drawn carriage. He designed the Hansom Cab to supersede the Hackney carriage. And he designed it with a lower centre of gravity so that it wouldn't topple over when it went round corners. It only had 2 wheels, so most of it was held up by the horse. And it did indeed take over from the Hackney carriage. And it was the horse-drawn taxi of choice in London for many years. It only needed 1 horse to pull it, and it could take 2 people at a time. Cutting-edge stuff.
Easiest to make. Aim for the stars, it's yours, just wait. You do your best along the way. But it's those arms that told me I don't care if it's yours or mine. Without you, it's just a waste of time. You showed me.
This is Winkley Square, and it's a little oasis of green in the middle of Preston city centre. And we only just made it here, thanks Sustrans. As normal, no signs. It was complete guesswork. It's a good job I know Preston very well. But Winkley Square was established in 1801 as a little oasis of green that they built some houses around. And it was the very well-to-do of Preston that lived round here. It would be your doctors and your solicitors and your politicians. In fact, there's a statue over there of Sir Robert Peel. He was the Conservative Prime Minister between 1834 and 1841. But he's not the interesting person from Winkley Square. Living at number 28 was a woman called Edith Rigby, and she was a prominent suffragette. And the way that she used to protest was by arson. In fact, she was locked up 7 times for setting fire to things. And in 1913, she planted a bomb in the Corn Exchange in Liverpool. And she was sentenced to 9 months hard labour. And she went on hunger strike and was force-fed. And she claimed that 2 days after she planted the bomb in the Corn Exchange, she set fire to William Lever's bungalow on Rivington Pike. That was before the Rozzers caught up with her. We've mentioned Sir William Lever before because he owned Lever Brothers in Warrington, the soap works, as well as Port Sunlight over near Birkenhead. And she said this about burning down his bungalow. I want to ask Sir William Lever whether he thinks his property on Rivington Pike is more valuable as one of his superfluous houses, occasionally open to people, or as a beacon lighted to king and country to see here are some intolerable grievances for women. And if that kind of chutzpah isn't enough for you to think that she's marvellous, she is definitely the queen of the Bimblers. It was written in a book by Elizabeth Ashworth that in 1888, Edith Rigby was the first woman in Preston to ride a bike. And that makes her the first woman in Lancashire to ride a bike at age 16. So if that doesn't make her queen of the Bimblers, I don't know what does. I mean, she was probably anti-monarchy, but still, queen of the Bimblers.
Waste of time, you showed me from the start. Such inspirations need a heart to bring you round. It could be ours. Big aspirations need a heart to hold you down. Though some get lost along the way, as sure as night designed the day. As long as I'm allowed to say, it's my heart that told me I don't care, you just disagree. Without you it wasn't meant to be. You showed me from the start. Such inspirations need a heart to bring you round. It could be ours. Big aspirations need a heart to hold you. Heart to hold you. I don't care, you can say what you like. I'm a peace-loving person, but I'm know I'm right. It's as easy as right from wrong. I'm a lover, not a fighter, so I wrote this song. You showed me from the start. Such inspirations need a heart to bring you round. It could be yours. Big aspirations need a heart to hold you, heart to hold you down. From the start, such inspirations need a heart to bring you round. It could be yours. Big aspirations need a heart to hold you, heart to hold you down.
Well, Bimblers, have I got crisps in my beard? I've been looking forward to that all day. A booze meal deal. The special thing about a booze meal deal is you get 4 items. But unfortunately, with my luck today, I got my main. Obviously, you know what I got from my main. I got the chicken and bacon. It's the only choice. You get 2 snacks. So usually what I would do is get crisps and some pork pies, because I don't do sugar. And the only snacks they had that didn't have sugar in were crisps, so I had to get 2 bags of crisps. I mean, they were nice crisps, posh crisps. 1 side of vinegar and sea salt, and 1 longhorn beef. Both needed, both providing me with sustenance for our next part of the Bimble. What a disappointment. But we best get cracking, because it's like nearly 4 o'clock now. And we've got a really long, boring Bimble for you to get to our next port of call. So I'll just sup my Diet Coke, and then I'll be on my way.
Maybe it didn't work at the time, maybe it never did. A mistake that made the distance, or a trying way to live. Maybe it's the time that you grabbed at my arms and electricity flowed from my shoulders to palms in a white hot glow, leaving white cold scars left bare and unshowed just to prove they were ours. Maybe it worked, maybe it never did, maybe it never was quite like how it is. Maybe it didn't work at the time, maybe it never did. A novelty improvement left lonely as it gives. Or maybe it's the time that you closed both your eyes and you pouted your lips as you waited for mine in the soft red glow of your soft cold arms. Serotonin burns holes through my veins to my heart. Maybe it worked, maybe it never did, maybe it never was quite like how it is. Maybe it's the time that I wanted to say that my limbs won't move more than 2 feet away from your day glow side luminescent sparks. I could burst into flames from 1 beat from your heart. Maybe it worked, maybe it never did, maybe it never was quite like how it is. Maybe it worked, maybe it never did, maybe it never was quite like how it is, and I quite like how it is.
Well, Bimblers, that was some bimble we went on there, but we needed to get the miles in. Unfortunately, from Preston to here by the banks of the River Douglas, there's nothing really that I can talk about. It's a wonderful bike ride and well worth a bimble. The views are stunning. However, there's nothing to talk about. So we're here at the River Douglas. And the River Douglas starts its life on the top of Winter Hill. Now, you'd probably know where Winter Hill is if you live in Lancashire, because it's that great big hill with the TV mast on the top. And if you live in Warrington, you can see it flashing at night. And it winds its way around Wigan. And it goes 35 miles all the way through the countryside of Lancashire until it gets to the River Ribble. And then it flows out off into the Ribble and off into the sea. It was the fact that it meandered past Wigan that drawn the attention of two men, a Thomas Steers and a William Squire, and they petitioned for an Act of Parliament to be put together so they could make the river navigable, and that went through in 1720. And they set to work to make the river navigable so that lovely Florida coal seam near Wigan, Goulburn, Lee could have access to the Irish Sea and take all that coal out to sea and pretty much anywhere in the UK. If you were to get in your canoe and go down the River Douglas, you'll see lots of bits of abandoned lock. But why did they abandon them? Well, someone had been cooking the books and there were a few irregularities in the accounts. And then in later years the Leeds-Liverpool Canal came along and the Douglas just turned back into a river. The Rufford branch of the Leeds-Liverpool Canal actually flows into the River Douglas before it goes off into the Ribble, and that's the way those canal boats get into the Ribble Link. So it all follows on from each other, you know, it's not haphazard this. A little bit further down the road you can see the Rufford branch of the Leeds-Liverpool Canal, but we're going to save that for another bimble. Something I'm going to call National Cycle Route 62 Episode 2.5. The first of our detours off National Cycle Route 62. It might even be something called a Rimble. I'll let you wonder what that is. So we need to get ourselves down the road to somewhere called Sollom so we can have the ceremonial ending to episode 2. Let's bimble. Windy. Noisy. Well, Bimblers, this is where I say adieu. We're at the crossroads of Green Lane and some big main road. So episode 3 will start here. I'm going to get off to Croston Station now because there's no way I'm riding back to Preston against this wind. I'll see you next time. Happy bimbling.